And so I became this kind of script doctor. Let's call it a script doctor, world doctor, game doctor, whatever you want to call it, where I would help people make better stories in their original stories. And I always started, what do you want to say? That's the first question I ask any writer, any director who's writing, any producer who's writing, anyone writer, what do you want to say? It's a pretty simple question, right? But how many times do we forget it? Most of us, when we're trying to get that first credit, or we're trying to get that second credit, or we're trying to get recognized and validated by some entity that's magical and mystical, we just want to write something that people say, you're a writer. Yeah, I'm a writer. I got paid. I got my first check. And it's really, really tiring and troublesome sometimes, because until you get that validation from the industries or the industry, you feel like you're not quite a writer. And it's actually false. But you won't know that until you've become a writer. Because you've always been a writer. And I hope for those who have been validated, you can do one thing, is when you meet somebody else who's trying to become a writer, validate the shit out of them. Read their stuff. Tell them, hey, go for it. Because they are a writer. They might not have had as much luck as you, or they might have been in the right place, but they are a writer. What you want to say is the only thing that's important. And once you've figured out what you want to say, what you want to talk about, what you want to explore, own it. I'm almost to the point in thinking right now, and this is because I've been dealing with too much CNN. I watch it too often. I've actually had this week with Thomas and Marcel and Anne. I had this week to not watch CNN. My life is better for some reason. I don't know why it is. I feel lighter. I don't know why. But I think democracy is in danger in my country. It feels like it. And one of the reasons is we don't know how to explore questions together anymore. Yeah, we don't. We used to, because media used to be about framing the democratic debate, framing it, giving us questions we could talk about openly and try to figure out what this crazy, because there's never one answer that's right. It's usually a package of them that don't really always fit well together. I wish that all the answers could be like those beautiful brownies in the back. You know, they always look like the same. No, they're not. They're always different. Democracy is a cacophony of musical people singing off key. But when you get used to it, after a while, you kind of like it, because it's a better place to do than one person singing one note, and we're all supposed to say that's truth. Now, what's your job as writers, for me, is not to tell us what to think, is to ask a question. What's bothering you? And when you create a world with around that question, you're going to spark a revolution, a dialectic revolution. A revolution where people think about the pros, the cons, the theme, the anti-theme, the different things, because you're going to create a world where there are different opinions on that question. And that's why you created that world. It's a technique we have to learn how to do. The other thing I kind of learned is that transmedia worlds are the major cultural art form of the 21st century. These are our pyramids we're building right now, you know? And you know, Disney gave us some ideas of how to do them. They built a theme park, they built like these cartoons and stuff. Marvel's been doing a job for about 100 years, DC, all these people. I'm sure in your countries, I don't know, I know Denmark's here, you've been doing it probably for centuries. You might not know it. I think Hamlet comes from here, doesn't he? Yeah. Yeah, we adapted it in England. We did a different version. It's much sadder, our version of it. But these stories we've been telling each other for a long time. And they come from every nation. But Hamlet, is there a real answer in that question, to be or not to be, from the Shakespeare version? Or when your father tries to kill you, your father-in-law tries to kill you, is there a real... These stories aren't black and white. They were created to make us think about something. Loyalty, love, death, I don't know, whatever. So at this point in time, we can look back at all these stories we've been telling ourselves. Our job as writers is to bring them forward so that we can talk about them again today, bridging generations. I was talking to, sorry about the anecdote, I'm going to give you a little anecdote. I was really excited because from some strange reason, we're working on this adaptation of a Henrik Ibsen play. And Henrik Ibsen, I'd seen one of his plays and I didn't really know who he was. Wow, was he a cool writer. This guy was like amazing. And we were looking around, and it happens to be one about Vikings and stuff. And I was asking, anytime I ask someone who's older than 25, they know who Henrik Ibsen is. Anyone younger than 25 in Sweden. I don't know about Denmark, but they don't know who he is. I go, how's that even possible? That's like not knowing who Shakespeare is. And then I hear somebody go, who's Shakespeare? I'm like, oh, right, yeah, right. The world's changing pretty quickly. Even our classics go away. But you have not only so the basic thing I'm trying to tell you is, you don't just have a right to say something. You now have a responsibility. It's your responsibility. So if you don't say it, who's going to say it, right? If you don't come into your stories and start bringing in these questions that really are hurting you, digging you, and making you go kind of icky, if you're just trying to sell something that you think will work because you read a marketing report or you've saw something else on TV and you think you can copy it in a different way, you're almost betraying yourself. I say you should learn from all these other shows. You should learn from all these games. You should learn from all these things that have forged you and made you who you are. But the one thing that I can't do for you is be you. Can't. Yeah, sure.
When did you come to this revelation in your own brain, and what was your first question?
That's a really good question. My first question, I think, was, if I write something, will it condemn souls to hell? I was brought up in a very religious family. A very religious family. And it was a tough, that's really the truth. I'm not just doing that to be funny. It really was. I was really worried that if I wrote something, I could damn myself to hell and damn other people to hell, because I would give them an opinion or a point of view that wasn't a religious doctrine. I think that's why this is so important to me. Because my whole life I could have just been following and doing what other people told me was right. And then after a while you go, oh, wait a second. I'm going to vote for this black guy for president. Even though my whole upbringing said that was probably a bad idea. I mean, I'm being really kind of personal here. I'm sorry. I don't want to blow things down. But honestly, I'm sure you all have those questions. When you start digging in there, our prejudices, our stereotypes, the things that we're kind of embarrassed about, you need to go out there and get it. I got help, by the way. I got help from mentors in comic books. I really ran into a man named Alejandro Jodorowsky. He was a guy who was working on comic books. You may have heard of him. And he's the one that explained that to me. He really explained it to me. He goes, you're Kurt. You're not an echo of your civilization. You stop being American. Just be Kurt. I'm just Jodo. You want me to be a Chilean immigrant Jewish guy living in France? You know, he really sometimes when the student's ready, the professor arrives, you know, kind of situation. I've had luck. I've just run into people that have told me the thing I needed to hear at the right time. But it gets even harder though when you try to realize you may start to have a lot of things to say. You probably won't have a lot in your lifetime. If you're really going to go down this creative route and start creating stories, you won't have enough time in your life to tell every story you want to tell. You're going to have to work with other people, find the right ones, and just try to do it one at a time, or 10 at a time, but do them, finish them. And each question, simple, everyone likes. Producers like simple. And keep it simple. Simple, everyone likes. Producers like simple. So what we're going to talk about, I talk about the sum of all media is you. Video games have just taken stuff from everybody else and digitalized them and put them in a thing. And they're not one thing. There are hundreds of kinds of video games. Really hundreds of kinds of video games. And the sum of all these experiences is in each one of us. The easiest way to think of that, I'm going to see if I did it in the next slide here, is that think of every medium to its extent. We're going to digitalize the universe. And this isn't from me, this is from Marshall McClung. He's a Canadian genius on media planning. He pretty much says in this book he wrote in 1965 that in the future of digitalization, numeralization, there will be a medium for every human being. I'm going to repeat that. There will be a medium for every human being. It's the same way of saying that we are all a medium. That one day technology is going to make who we are, help us express ourselves in an original way. It's really hard to imagine that right now because that's the extent of the futurism, but I'm starting to believe he may be right. We have so many ways of expressing yourself. Go to TikTok, go to whatever. Things are happening so fast right now that every human being that has something to say will find a way to say it. And eventually, if we think about it, every human being does have something to say. Because we're unique, we're different, we're original. We might want simpler worlds where everything is just, packaged into one message, and it's the good film that everyone should watch, but that probably will never happen. Not in today's world anymore. It's over. We have crossed that bridge. We're now in Copenhagen. It's over. We're going to constantly be doing something that's going to be so that every media that we're starting to create will become us. One of the reasons for this is that the tools we build to tell stories shape us. And then we shape them back because we tell different stories. And we just go back and forth with these tools. And the tools are becoming so numerous and so powerful. You were working on Unreal. Yeah. It's a powerful tool. You can there's so much stuff you can do in it, right? For sure. Yeah. You can create whole worlds in this tool by yourself. And if you bring other people into it, it becomes a collaborative effort. And if you can learn how to make other voices match your own in a cacophonic way that still remains coherent, you can do amazing things. So I'm just going to go real quickly through this because I don't want to spend too much time on this, but if you ever want to work in video games, know that if you're working in TV or cinema, there's a place for you. Because the tools are starting to match up, and in the end, games have to tell stories now. They can't just be lottery machines or whatever, or just fun things. So the most importantly are the rules. We talked about the procedural rhetoric. The only difference between a video game and everything else are the rules. If you can understand that idea of procedural rhetoric, you're ready for video games. Because you're going to have to work with people where that's their job. They're going to create something realistic. Has anyone played The Sims? Yeah. The Sims? Sims, you're simulating real life things, right? Has anyone played Candy Crush? You're basically simulating a dentist's wet dream. I'm going to eat so much candy, all my teeth will fall out, and I'll have to go to the dentist. No, I'm just kidding. It's a puzzle game, right? It's just wasting time. But there's trying to do a story zone around that. Whether we want them to be art or not, they are art. Video games, vehicle, they give us, this is something that we fought against for a long time in video games. We didn't want to be an art form. We wanted to be a pastime. At the best, a sport, maybe. We didn't want to be somebody that's got responsibility. Responsibility, wow. That's for the cinema guys. That's for the TV people. You have to have ratings on your games. And then they put ratings on our games. And then we get out, the ratings aren't bad. I've been in game companies where we put the 18 plus rating so that more 13-year-olds would buy our game. Seriously, the minute it was 16 or the 13-year-olds wouldn't buy it anymore. Scary, huh? Then eventually we started going, wait a second, moms are calling us. Everyone's calling. So what's going on here? You need to take control of the narrative in these games. We learned this. So let's talk a little bit about an artist and an artisan walk into a bar. This is not a joke. It's a definition. What's the difference between an artist and an artisan? I don't know. Do you have these two differences in words in Danish or Swedish? Or, yeah. An artist is someone who has something to say. For me. There's tons of other definitions, right? But an artist is somebody who just wants to say something, and they have something to express. They have something to convey. It can be an emotion. It can be a reason that they're angry with life. It can be all kinds of things. An artisan, in my humble opinion, is someone who knows how to say it. Whoa, that's kind of scary. That means there could be artists in the world that aren't artisans, and they don't know how to express themselves. Have you ever run into a really poor piece of art? From your opinion, someone who didn't, or a really bad sculpture? I happen to like chainsaw art, but I've seen some really bad looking bears. They didn't really do it for me. But let's think about it for a second. I've seen some amazing bears done with a chainsaw. When you are an artisan in one thing, you're halfway there to being an artist. Whether it be film, whether it be cinema, whether it be lighting, whether it be editing, whether it be anything. Just do one thing really, really well so you can say, I'm an artisan of a highest level in this thing. And then once you've done that, you know how to tell a part of a story, build part of a world, like an expert, like a professional. It's the one thing it's one thing that I'm pretty sure of. This definition has caused lots of pain and hardship in the world. I'm not thinking that I'm an artist before being an artisan. I've run into so many sad people that are trying to be the artist and they don't want to be the artisan because they don't want to be called an artisan. If we were in Dublin right now, we were in Dublin a while back. There was a stained glass window maker in Dublin who is, if you ever get a chance to go to Dublin or anywhere in Ireland, you'll see this guy. He is an artist, but he started out as an artisan. He makes stained glass windows. Clark, his name's Clark. They're just absolutely beautiful. You're never going to see anything like it. And you're going to, whoa, wait a second. And they're not religious art. They're like contemporary modern day art. And we talked about this. I kind of jumped ahead of this when we did it. But I told you about Dungeons and Dragons. Which of these is the oldest game in the world?
Go.
Ah. When do you say? When do you think it started in Go?
Well, I mean, anything that's like Chinese.
Yeah.
A lot older than the rest of us.
Yeah. You're close.
Yeah,
There's
no.
no. It's good. It's a good guess. It would have been my guess when I first did this slide. It's actually.
Dragons is older.
Yeah, this is the oldest, right? Of course, everybody knows this is the oldest. No, it's this actually, and that is second, and that is third, and that is fourth. Right? What is that game? Have you ever played Candyland?
Yeah.
Shoots and ladders,
70s, yeah.
snakes and ladders. The oldest version of Candyland is in Sanskrit. It's called Snakes and Ladders. It's basically called snakes in any way. Some of these snakes would run you down the board. Some of these ladders would give you shortcuts. It's basically a version of Candyland. And the way, you don't have Candyland. You may have, you have games like that, Shoots and Ladders, and it's just a dice game, right? We roll the dice. It's for kids. It's for kids. And what's it teaching us, this game? Chance. That's not bad. Yeah. Actually, what we think, we're not real sure. When I say we, I'm including myself in these great grand of game scholars. I don't know why. But we think that it just was to teach you, if you keep rolling the die, you'll eventually finish the game. Don't quit. It's a game that builds determination and this idea. If you think of the world as a Shoots and Ladders game or a Candyland game, keep rolling the die, you'll eventually get to the end of it. So don't stop, just roll it. And this is the way the world works. Sometimes there are ups and sometimes there are downs. Just keep rolling because it doesn't kill you. The game doesn't kill you. It just sends you back to the beginning and you have to keep rolling until you get to the end of the game. What we don't know in the Sanskrit version, and this is something I really ask anyone who's lived in America or who's lived in Europe with competitiveness, sports. Back in the day, did you win when you were first to finish or when you were last to finish? You think? That's what it would be in America, for sure. That's what it is now. What about if your goal was to have the longest life? Wow, we could imagine a game like that with a different procedural rhetoric because we changed the objective of the game. And that would have to tell a whole different story. This is what procedural rhetoric's about. It's taking rules that seem obvious and giving them reasons and giving them lessons and stuff. You don't have to do that because there are tons of people that's all they do, is they build procedural. If it interests you, explore it. I can give you some really good books to read. Ian Bogost is one of the best procedural writers I've ever seen. But Ian Bogost. Bogost. It's I'll tell you after that because I don't want to mess up his spelling because then I would feel bad because I think he has a Scandinavian name. I would really feel bad. What does chess teach us? There are an infinite number of possibilities with very few pieces. Go is a similar teaching in the East. There are so many combinations possible, and it looks really simple when you first look at it, right? Go, you just have two marbles, no, there are infinite amounts of ways that story can turn. And when you think about it, sometimes we talked about diplomacy, we talked about warfare, but in reality, the first lesson was a philosophical lesson. Hey, even when there's a few pieces in human interaction, there's an infinite number of ways that thing could go. Yeah. Now, yeah, sure.
And I think Dungeons and Dragons is the long life example. Is that correct?
Yes, totally. Yeah, good.
When I was a kid, I used to kill off these ancient characters when I was a dungeon master.
Kill you.
You'd have to call an ambulance.
Yeah, totally.
Strokes.
Yeah. Because you'd taken away, the simulation was too much. Yeah.
They
Because you didn't just kill a story, you killed a world. Yeah, you killed the whole world of that person. And that meant, now, I've seen graveyards online where you can bury your characters. That might have been a way for you to help them deal with the remorse of the damage you'd done.
They didn't want like a resurrection potion.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that they did as well. But so what we ended up learning too, and this is the point of it, these new game things like Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games, they're not as new as we think they are, because actually role-playing and improv theater have been around for a while. But it was the first time systemized them, and they can be turned into video games as well. Video games went crazy with with role-playing games. This is something that Aristotle said. The aim of art is to represent not the outward appearance of things, but their inward significance. Do you agree with this? It's not bad. Aristotle is our friend. If you're writing any kind of fiction or any kind of oriented nonfiction, such as a documentary where you're trying to explore a subject that nobody knows about, any kind of fiction, the guy that hated you the most in history was Socrates. Anybody know who he was? Yeah, he died before I was born. Actually, the city of Athens killed him, dead. They didn't want him around. They gave him an option to be banished, but he said, no, I'm going to die. Okay. Why? Because he said what's the threat to democracy are emotions, pity and fear in particular. And theater is teaching us all to be crybabies and scaredy cats. He didn't like theater. He didn't even like Homer with all these Iliads and things like that. He said this is teaching us to be non-logical beings. We let our emotions decide what should be right and what should be wrong. And that can't work in democracy. He was attacking the industry of theater. It would be like attacking Hollywood at the same, by yourself, you know? So of course they killed him. We can't have that. But still, his disciple, Plato, it really bugged him, because he kind of bought into that logic. Yeah, maybe all these stories, if we create fiction, maybe we're going to destroy the human democracy and we're going to get tyrants coming and ruling. You know, we can't have that. And he went around and told his students in this big school he has, does anyone have an argument against it? And Aristotle was the dude. He came up and wrote this thing called the Poetics. It's a speech, actually. And you may have heard of the Poetics. We studied a lot in Hollywood because it really protects us. This idea that you can live vicariously through art, through stories. I do not have to sleep with my mother to know it's a bad thing to do. I don't have to eat my father's foot to know it won't end well. All these horrible stories the Greeks were telling each other were a way to tell you and help you learn that's a bad thing to do. You can add lives to yourselves. And when we were in video games, all we were doing was adding lives. We're giving you, have you ever heard of extra life? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we do in video games. We give you extra lives. That's what you do in cinema. That's what you do in television. You're giving people extra lives. You're giving them a character to play. Who's ever heard of Columbo? Yeah, boy, that guy's in my life, man. I want to hang out with him. I'd have dinner with him today, you know. So this is a way to think of all these different ways video games were doing extra lives. We had adventure action games, puzzle games, simulation games, sports games, FIFA games, puzzle games, Call of Duty. We had all these different games we were doing that catered to different kinds of emotional impact results. Some of them are action, some of them are thinking games, some of them are relaxation games. These are all coming around. And over time, we were trying to categorize them. These are not my documents, these are from the web. We're trying to figure out how do we do these games, you know, Legends of Zelda, these different kind of games. How do we start rationalizing what they actually are? What is video games? What are video games? And so what I ended up doing was thinking about it in a different way. Because I was this world doctor, right? I was going into studios and they told me, hey, you got to fix this game. Who do I talk to? Well, everybody. If there's 50 of you, how am I going to talk to everybody? And I started going around talking to everybody because they still paid me to do it. And I realized they were all making a different game all the time. The same game, but with different ideas of why they were doing it. And some of them were more the action guys. Some of them were more the RPG story guys because they loved Dungeons and Dragons. Some of them were just wanted to walk around in a beautiful world and admire it. Some of them wanted a strategy, reflection, what we call a Euro game invented by a German, probably, because they're the best at those kind of games, inventing them. So all these complications were going on, and some people kind of liked everything in the middle. Then, over years, and I did this document in 2018, I discovered that that's how you can map games. And these are all the games that existed in 2018. When I say all the games, the kinds of games, right? Like we would say kinds of movies. But when I'm talking about kinds of movies, I'm talking about 40X, black and white, silent. Think about it that way. We're not talking about science fiction, because every one of these little boxes, there's a science fiction, there's a mystery, there's every one of these little circles, there's that kind of genre as well. This is getting crazy, isn't it? It's getting crazy. You wonder why video games are making so much money. It's not one medium. It's like 37. Some of them are mobile, some of them are on PCs, some of them are on consoles. Some of them are designed to be played in your VR headset. Some of them are designed to play on your iPad. So they're everywhere, right? And so they're not all of them actually, surprise, are that good. Some of them are just as bad as the worst film you've ever seen. But they still get things going on. So once I'd done that, I want to make sure I'm on time here. How much time do I have left? 20 minutes, so we'll finish this up quick. This is basically to show you, I'd done all that work, done things, and I developed this kind of methodology to write games with meaning and impact, starting with the world. So the basic idea was saying, if you want to understand why transmedia today is such an important thing, why everybody's talking about it, it was because of this fellow over here. Agency. Agency. I can do stuff in the worlds of a video game. I really can do stuff. I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it? Just to do stuff. I can change the story, I can kill things, I can pick up objects, I can gain treasure, I can become rich. All the things we could do in Dungeons and Dragons, you can do now in a video game. So all this stuff is, and there's no longer the DM trying to like write down what the guy's doing. It's all taken care of by the computer. So everything's being done in the same situation. Where all this stuff, we know how to do really, really, really well in cinema and television. Netflix even buys projects and TV because they're in different places in the world, because people like to travel around in content. They just want a good old mystery. Why not in Lapland? Why not in Hawaii? Why not in, why not, right? They all want these things. And they travel, and it's kind of cool. And if your story's good, they'll take you there. Where the same thing in games is the same idea. So if we can go more fantasy, we have to, because we're more like, know that video games are just cartoons. Think of it that way. They're not live action movies. We have a lot of trouble conveying emotions. But we do really cool adrenaline things, and we do them in cartoon environments. They're animation. We're animating cartoons. But you get to choose where they go, how they're moving. So then I said, okay, we did this. I went to talk to all the different departments, and I realized that these were different departments in studios. There was like the guys doing all the artwork. They were the world guys. And they were trying to make you marvel. There were the guys writing the stories, which are people like you and me. We were trying to give people purpose and meaning in the stories, make sure they were emotionally attached to it. And then we had people just doing the thrill stuff. Adrenaline. Have you ever heard of Twitch? Yeah, Twitch. It literally, that word comes from Twitch. Twitch skills. We call them Twitch skills. It's basically how fast you can move your thumbs. I can no longer play Call of Duty because I cannot jump in the sky, aim at a target, and shoot it before I fall down. I buy a machine gun, I sit behind a tree, and I shoot people who run in front of me. I no longer have the Twitch skills to do that. So all the kids call me a camper or a boomer. This is something I couldn't do very well. In movies, those are the chase scenes. Those are the special effects. That's the excitement, the adrenaline. Have you noticed that Hollywood is going more and more towards this part of the movie business? Is it because they have gamers that only know how to deal with it? I don't know. Or is it because they want to keep everyone else out of the industry because they can't afford it? I don't know. AI is going to take care of that probably. Understanding is explaining the logic of my world. How does the world really function? And I noticed there was a lot of coders that were trying to do these simulation procedural rhetorics. This is the procedural rhetoric part of it. Did anyone see The Big Short? Yes. Yeah, Big Short. I really recommend this movie. If you want to know why the whole world nearly died financially, watch The Big Short. It's explaining you the systems in place that caused a near collapse of the world economy and the greed involved, blind greed that nearly killed us all. It's beautiful, but it's kind of an understanding system kind of thing, right? Games are doing the same things we're doing in movies and TV, but in different ways. Just keep that in mind. There's also, my slides went kind of nuts on me here, I'm sorry about that. They got lost in translation. Writers are about emotion and heart. We'll make you feel things and you're going to want to live in that world forever. The best worlds have good writers in any industry. If you want to get people's guts involved, give them some adrenaline. Do some chase scenes, you know, some suspense. Have a monster jump out of a closet if you want. Make sure it serves a purpose, or it gets kind of weird, but intellectual collection, make sure you thought about your world. And this is what I'm really going to talk to you about. Make sure that your world metaphor is addressing a problem that bothers you. This is where you put it. Make sure your world metaphor is addressing a problem that bothers you. And these people who are going on these journeys that you're going to emotionally care about are going to gain some powers of sorts, and they're going to affect these systems that are polluting your world. That's a world-first approach. That's what we basically going to show you. Characters are going to go on these emotional journeys. They're going to gain powers that are kind of cool, can have some special effects. They can be telekinesis, or they can just be mind reading, whatever you want to make it. And they're going to fix these systems that are so unjust that they're polluting our world. It's a formula, if you like. But the beauty in it is it's a pretty generic formula. It's a different way of thinking of your world first. Because this is the goal. The goal is to make sure we can fix the world a little bit, change it, have a different point of view, talk about it, at least discuss the problems. And then we can have characters go on journeys that explore those problems and try hard to fix them. If I were to do a Monopoly game today, it would be closer to the original. Because in the original, you had these Monopoly problems, and in the other half of the game, you built social mechanisms to feed the poor. Whoa, why did we stop? When did we stop that part of the game? That wasn't any fun. So we cut it out. But today you can try to make that fun, right? Your biggest challenge when you're doing a TV series or a movie is to make that fun. Fixing your world fun, exciting. Or at least getting people talking about how we might be able to do it. Then you're defending even democracy. These are the people I had to work with. These are the people that from all the different departments, but they're similar in video games. And I think these slides we can give to anyone who wants them. Yeah, I think so. I want to go here. I want to go here to this ambitious project require constant creative alignment. What I note in the way you think about things, your biggest ally is going to be your capacity to be patient and talk to someone else about your project. It's creative alignment. So what I ended up doing was using a lot of these tools to start discussions with other creatives. I showed you different boxes, and then we started filling those out, and then we'd start discussions with other creatives. And we would constantly realign and make sure we were both telling the same story. We're both working in the same world with this objective. These tools, I'm not going to go through these because this is the course for tomorrow and different things, but I want you to know that they exist, because in general, they're just a job. Have 5 minutes?
Yeah.
5 minutes?
We give 5 minutes per question.
Okay, great. I want you to just know that there are tools, and I'm going to send those so you can see them basically what they are. This is weird. Wow. You can see it. I don't know what happened, but I'm sorry. But I'm going to go through this slowly. That way you can look at it at least, and then we'll get the tools. And I'll tell you, I know it by heart. So I built this first tool, and this is the one I want to just leave you with today. It's called the narrative voice. And it's a way for you to start talking with other creatives, or even just yourself in your room or in your shower or whatever. If you have a PowerPoint screen in your shower, make it better. But the basic idea is you do the normal thing. You set up the world and what your characters are doing in it. Then you decide the intellectual framing. It's basic. The intellectual framing is, what must this hero do to impact the world? Basically, is it a utopia? Is it a dystopia? What happens in a utopia? What am I supposed to do if I'm the hero? I defend it. What does Mario do when somebody takes away Princess Peach? He goes and defends it, right? What does a good policeman in a good cop movie do when someone breaks in and steals a treasure from the bank or steals? He goes and catches the thief, brings him to justice. Those are utopias that need to be saved. What if the world's really unjust? And all the money, and everybody's dying of hunger, and there's a bank full of money and food. Why not? That's a dystopia. So the hero is no longer the cop, policeman guarding the door. It's the rebel or the thief that's coming in, Robin Hood or something like that. So that's the first thing you do. You figure out whether your world needs to be disrupted. What behavior must I adopt to transform the world is the first thing you need to talk about with everyone working on the project. Are we in a world that's so unjust that we need to break it or change it? Or are we in a world that's actually pretty good, we need to save it, and someone's trying to poison it, someone's trying to make it bad? That's the first thing I try to do in the world building approach. Then this is the mood, and in that mood, if it's dystopic or utopic, wow, I'm sorry about this slide. I don't want to correct it. You'll get it. If it's utopic or dystopic, depends on whether or not the tone will change. You can make dystopic worlds that are all happy, but little by little we're going to discover they're not really fair, right? You probably have seen things like that. Monster Inc. Has anyone seen that? Yep. Yeah, it's all happy. Oh, except the part about scaring little children so they scream. Oh, okay, maybe something's wrong in this world. It suddenly becomes a dystopia they need to fix because they've got a big problem. The point of view is the last thing I want to tell you about. The point of view is who's going to be telling this story? How are we going to enter into it? How are we going to enter into this? So you've got a world that the framing, the message, the theme is in reality a question. What's wrong with this world? And since there's something wrong with this world, I've got a hero that's going to come in and do something about it. Either something's trying to destroy the utopia or something's trying to maintain a dystopia, and I'm going to be able to do something about that. If you can agree on that already, you've already got something that you can start talking about having meaning, creating a debate. Because in the end, it's the debate we want. Because the debate is going to drive your transmedia strategy. Whoa, I went really quick, didn't I? You're going to create a world that makes people think and talk about. They're going to go online and go, I don't agree with this. I think that guy was right. I think that guy was wrong. Whoa, before you know it, they're talking about what you created. That's kind of where I wanted to leave you with drop the mic, as they say, kind of thing. I know it's a lot, but I thank you so much for letting me give you my opinion on my worldview of how we should create art. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you.